What's up? What's good? Wolves here, and just want to do a little bit of a let's talk on the recent details on the PlayStation 5. We have a release date. We have a little bit of an in-depth look at the controller, and we haven't seen the controller, like the final product of the controller. We haven't seen the actual box yet either, but we do know more like kind of hardcore stats and stuff of like how the system is absolutely going to be made. There was a recent interview that a few of the PlayStation higher ups did with the Wired website, not magazine. So here it is. Anyways, so basically, it starts out with the article. Starts out with the PlayStation hit the market in '94, and every single one has been like 2, 3, 4, PlayStation 2 and 3 and 4. Every iteration, the question is only in the most technical sense. So the CEO, Jim Ryan, right now. So basically, he's saying, it's nice to be able to say something about the PlayStation 5, like a giant burden has been lifted from his shoulders. But the official release date is holiday 2020, which is usually December December of that year. So just it's going to be the biggest thing on everybody's Christmas list for 2020. So we haven't heard anything since April, which is pretty true. April was around E3 time. I think there was a state of play that they announced it. Or no. They just dropped the thing of like, yes, we are absolutely making the PS5. They dropped on Twitter. I'm pretty sure it was. We didn't see anything at E3 about the PlayStation. Sony didn't show up to E3 at all. And what I'm thinking is the Video Game Awards VGAs are going to be a must see, because we're probably going to see something there on the PlayStation 5. So VGAs, Jeff Keighley's show, you can see it on network television. I'm very sure they're going to be having it on there this year, but also definitely on Twitch and YouTube and all of them, and their official website too. Is it Mark Cerny? Yes, Mark Cerny. There's been some higher ups at Sony that have switched positions and everything out. So I'm trying to get the names right here. Mark Cerny eager to share specifics. So the specifics are basically that the CPU is absolutely going to be AMD's Ryzen, the GPU in the Navi family, which the same thing as the Scarlett. So the consoles, the Xbox and PlayStation, are going to be very similar consoles. The thing is, I think the PlayStation is going to have the one up on the Xbox on the dashboard, but they are doing some updates to dashboards, so we're going to see how that affects the PlayStation overall. Both of these consoles might have kind of rough dashboards to them, because PlayStation is trying to update the cross media bar, which, the old saying goes, if it's not broke, please don't try and fix it. You're going to screw something up, and it seems like possibly that could be a thing, but the way that the console is made, it seems like data transfer and everything goes a lot quicker with these new systems. It's like, it's like that. So that's, it's hard to say until we see it running, until we experience it, whether or not the consoles, either console, Xbox or PlayStation, is really going to have a fault in one area or not. But so the PS5 is ditching the spinning hard drive, or the SSD solid state, which is, so if you don't know anything about hard drives, a solid state very quickly is, you have your hard drive and there's a little disc that spins on the inside. There is a needle that reads it's either a needle or a laser or something on the inside of it. Even a lot of your external hard drives and everything have the same thing. And that it's constantly reading data off the disk. So what the next generation of consoles is trying to do is switch over to a what is it, HDD, I think it is. So we're going pretty much from a disk spinning in the hard drive to a optical drive, which it's all just digital. There's no disk, there's no nothing. It's a chipset basically that holds information, and then you read the information over to the console, and that's how it works. Which is a lot faster, and you can do a lot more with it than just having that little spinning disc inside your hard drive. That's the reason why a lot of people, they will take the hard drive out of the PS4 and they will install a all digital version of the hard drive into their PS4 using SATA 3 cables, because that's even quicker than USB 3.0. And and then they get the most bang for their buck out of the PS4 hardware. So the PS5 is technically already going to have all that stuff as the default setup for the whole thing. So we're going to have the fastest consoles known to man when this all comes out, because these hard drives are also going to be reading and writing quicker than anything else on the market. So that's and hopefully the cord that plugs into the motherboard that goes from hard drive to motherboard to send the data through, hopefully that is also going to be just as fast, and they don't try to shortchange it on that. So let's see here. They also discussed the ability to support ray tracing, and ray tracing, it's a technique to enable complex lighting, sound effects, and 3D environments. So basically, it's going to make the games look and shine a whole lot better. But not only that, they can also use that with audio techniques. So you can end up using basically lighting techniques to bounce sound waves inside the game world, which expands every which way you can actually develop the games and the audio systems in games to work. It expands on that tenfold, because now instead of you programming the way audio bounces off from surfaces and everything, now you can just program the surface, the ray tracing, literally it shoots the audio rays out like light, and so forth. You can end up manipulating sounds different ways. So there is going to be ray tracing acceleration in GPU hardware, which is cool. That's it. In all honesty, that should push. I mean, that right there should push the next gen consoles way above what we have now. So yeah. Then they go back to, so a big selling point right now is the hard drive, and basically there's that the Spider-Man demo that is showing that Spider-Man right now takes however many seconds to load, and it's like a snap of the finger, and boom, the level is loaded, and you're ready to go. You're ready to start swinging again, start hitting up the town, doing the thing. So the loading is basically not even a thing. And the way that one of the developers were talking about in this article is basically how old school hardware used to load at the drop of a dime, like just boom, right there, done. You drop in your game, you click the start button, you're into the game, you're running. So that's the way that these next gen consoles are going to be going, is way quicker read speeds and everything else. The other kind of interesting part about it is that they, instead of it loading up the whole game, I guess you're going to be able to partition the game off, so you can do single player and multiplayer as separate installs. And then once you say like Call of Duty Modern Warfare comes out, and you just want to have the multiplayer installed or multiplayer game modes installed, and you don't want to have maybe like Spec Ops and single player installed, you can actually partition that off and not have the single player installed, just the multiplayer, and then it takes up like half the space on your hard drive, which is going to be really good, because these games are probably going to be clocking in at around 100 gigs per game. If you have a 1 terabyte hard drive in this system, 100 gigs per game, you do the math, you're not going to have a whole lot of room. And then also insert into an optical drive that doubles as a 4K Blu-ray player. So if, for all you people that are hanging on to your Blu-rays, yeah, you're still in luck with the PlayStation. You can still do a Blu-ray. And then they start going into the UI, which I said they were going to via a completely revamped user interface. PS4's barebone home screen at times feels frozen in amber. I don't think so. I really like the cross media bar. I really like the UI that the PS4 uses. It's very clean. It's very easy to navigate around. The only thing I ever had a problem with on the PS4 was the store. The store can sometimes feel a little hard to maneuver around to find what you're looking for. If you read on there, it gets a little bit easier, but at first you're like, where is everything in this? I do still love that the store, and I hope that we keep this for PS5. Keep the store separate from the dashboard. Make the store a app that you load into. Do not hook that to the dashboard as like I'm just going to click over here, over to this tab, and click, and then the storage right there, ready to go. Do not do that. The Xbox does that. I swear to God, it slows down the console. Whether it officially does or not, I mean, you can probably argue it, but in my experience, that stuff slows down the console so bad that it makes the Xbox actually run poorer. Makes it just load slower. It makes your game wig out because you always have like this dashboard feature in the background of like the store trying to stay up to date and load and everything else. So just keep all that stuff separate. Boom, over here, no problem. So, multiplayer game servers will provide the console with sets of joinable activities in real time. Single player games will provide information like what missions you could do and what rewards you might receive for completing them, and all of those choices will be visible in the UI. As a player, you just jump right into whatever you like. So, to me, it seems like instead of you having to buy the game to see what the trophies are, you're going to be able to check the trophies out just by clicking into the game. You can also check out like how many missions a game has. So is this game really worth the $60 or, and usually if you could check out trophies, you could kind of check that out anyways. You see how many hidden trophies there are and you can go into the hidden trophy, check out the activity of the hidden trophy and see how many, act 1, act 2, act 3, act 4. That's the way I've always done it, but I guess they're going to make it so it's like right out there in the open for people that don't think to do that. That's going to be right there in front of your face being like, okay, there is 10 chapters to this game or 5 acts, 6 acts, whatever. This game is for $60 for 6 acts. Then you have a multiplayer mode, a horde mode or whatever, or it's whatever co-op mode that's in it. So they're basically PlayStation's trying to be more laying everything out, being like, this is the package deal that you're buying for your cash, which is all right, just as long as it doesn't bog down the UI. That does not bog down the cross media bar. I'm all for it. But yeah, talk about like what does the UI actually look like, or how big would the SSD be, or even is that a microphone on the controller? And of course, they totally don't want to talk about any of that stuff because they're not ready to. They got a full year to get all that stuff ready to go. And then Sony handed this person the next gen controller. So it's just basically like the test unit controller, what they're thinking about making it out to be. From what this says, it looks an awful lot like the DualShock 4, as you can see right here. So it's going to look a lot like this. But it's going to have a more in-depth speaker, which I would love to see them just get rid of the speaker, because most of the time everybody has their headphones on. They don't really need a speaker with it. But the big one, so here's probably the biggest like whoa moment for the PlayStation 5. They are actually going to be putting motors in the triggers. This could be really cool for developers if they use it the right way. So if the big example is, if you shoot a shotgun, boom, you're going to feel a little bit of a feedback in your trigger. Xbox is already doing this, yes, with the rumble feature. For like their driving games, some of them you can feel the motor in the trigger, so it feels like you're actually pressing on the pedal, and you feel the motor in it. And sometimes they have like gun feedback, in the triggers and everything. So this is going to be basically, I think, what I'm getting from it is like your force feedback in a steering wheel and pedals, the way it force feedbacks that way, it's going to be doing it in your trigger. So then if a shotgun, kaboom, you're going to be feeling that pushback, I guess, of the shotgun. But then if you're using a bow and arrow, the trigger itself is going to be harder to pull back, depending on how far you're pulling the bow and arrow back. It could be good, but if anybody has like a disability or they have something, like I know I've had family members that have had arthritis in their hands, and that would really inhibit the usability of the controller. Really, it really push back how much somebody could actually use that controller. Maybe you got the flu or something, you're feeling sick and you don't have so much strength in your hands on that day or something, or your hands are just tired. You've been working at work using your hands all day and you want to come home and play a shooter, and then you have a force feedback on your trigger. So it can really, something like this could really kind of backfire on Sony. But the other really cool one is that immersive rumble features. So I'm thinking it's going to be more weights on the rumble. So you don't, because right now we have, I'm pretty sure it's two weights. You got one bigger one smaller one. So you get a little bit of a dynamic range of the vibration. But I guess this one is going to be huge, like a huge difference. So way more motorized rumble feedbacks. A lot of people turn the rumble off in shooters and stuff. I think myself, I keep the rumble on because I like to feel the gun in my hands, and if I can feel the gun even more in my hands, that could be really cool. That could be way more immersive when I'm using the gun, or I can get more feedback from how many bullets I shot, how much the gun is going to be shooting because. Or kicking up because more feedback on your hands, then you know that the gun's going to kick up more, and you can pull down to even out the recoil. Your brain's doing that all on the fly. And I guess if you have more immersion off this controller, that can end up giving your brain more feedback, and therefore could, I don't know, make it easier to do shooters and stuff. We'll see, or racing games and stuff. The other big one is USB-C on the connection, so that's going to increase the latency and delay on the controller to your console, because you can do it wired or wireless. The wire, I usually always go wired just so I have the least amount of latency. I have the very low latency monitor, and then plug in your controller for low latency on that, and then there you go. USB-C is going to be even less because you got faster data transfer between your controller and the console through the wire. So that's a good thing also. So that's called adaptive triggers, and just an upgrade on the DualShocks, and of course it's probably going to be called a DualShock 5. No, big surprise there. So it's going to have an improved speaker on the controller. The haptics can enable some astonishing effects. First, I played through a series of short demos courtesy of some Japan studio titles. Designed for VR, in the most impressive, I ran a character through a platform level, different surfaces, surprise immersion. I have my headphones on, so I will never end up using that. And a lot of times, in all honesty, the only time I really ever use the lighting effect off the controller is when I'm using VR. Outside of that, I have a weird thing where I can't, if I see my hands while I'm trying to do a game, it screws my brain up. I can't play the game. So usually I have this underneath the table or something where I can't see my hand. So the laying, actually I never even really see the laying either. I didn't even know that GTA had different laying on the controller until I accidentally had I was up here trying to do something. I was like, oh, this thing shines blue and red when the cops are after you. Oh wow. One thing, speaking of GTA actually has a feature with the motion control. I'm not hearing anything about motion control in this controller. I'm wondering if that's going to be a thing or not. It should be, because Sony has paved the way for motion controllers. So hopefully we get that added either later on or something. Because when I was playing GT Gran Turismo in VR, and I had the controller up like this, and I was actually doing this with it. That was actually pretty cool. Without the steering wheel impels, being able to do like a steering wheel impel on the controller. Very awesome stuff that you can do with that. But yeah, I don't know. The 6-axis, I mean, not a lot of developers use the 6-axis, so we'll see. We'll see. It all comes down to developers using this stuff, like the laying and all that stuff. If the developers do not program it in, we do not get the laying effects. If they do not program something in for the speaker, we don't get that. So it all comes down to the developers using the technology that's at their disposal. So the DualShock 5 will probably feel just a slight bit lighter than the Xbox controller with batteries installed in it. PS5 dev kits, controller prototypes began rolling out much more recently. So yeah, so that's one of the big things. Like I said, about a year ago, they probably got the PS5 dev kits, or at least the controllers, so they could end up using the controller prototypes to build their game engines around, all that button mapping and everything. SSD has me really excited. So they are using solid state drive. So it's a solid state drive that is the optical drive. Then it's a hard disk drive or something like that, I think it's called then. I think I goofed that up earlier in the video. Sorry. Fixing that now. But yeah, SSD all day. all day, every day. You want an SSD. That's gonna be your quickest, most fastest data transfer that you can have. Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to, like I said, we're gonna have to wait until pretty much the VGAs to really see probably what the box is, the controller is, and actually finally see gameplay of the PS5. So a lot of details are out. Some stuff could change. The UI could absolutely change and everything. But for right now, basically just keep your ear out. Definitely on Twitter. Twitter, it seems to get a lot of information very quickly as soon as it drops and everything. I will be most likely covering as much as I possibly can of the PS5 and everything. I'm very excited about the PS5. Not so much about the Xbox, just because the Xbox doesn't have a lot of experiences that I really care about on it to offer. So everything that I do is like, shooting, fighting games. The AAA games seem to be all just like 3 to 4 to 10 steps up above what Xbox is pushing out. So I mean, that might change. I don't know, but personally, on personal level, PlayStation is where my home's at right now. I'm on the blue brand. So I'm on the blue brand. I stream on the purple brand, and this is going up on the red and white brand. That's right. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for stopping by. This is about a 20-minute video. I know a little bit of a longer one, but there's some big details coming out for that PS5. So we're going to be getting a more in-depth look very soon. I got that feeling. I think I jumped the gun just a little bit on it, but VGAs, like I said, most likely we'll be seeing something there. Maybe we'll even see Scarlet. Wouldn't that be something if Xbox and PlayStation showed off both of their consoles at the same time, at the same night? Jeff Keighley would be in heaven loving that stuff. If if he got both of the major consoles on his show at the same time. I will say also, just on a side note, I haven't been covering a lot or doing a lot with the Switch. I do have one sitting here. I just haven't had enough time to do it. I am very interested in what they're doing. Switch Astro Chain looks great. The Switch Lite didn't really interest me too much, but definitely I want to start getting into that a little bit too. Yeah, you can also check around on YouTube here on this channel for a Gears of War stuff. So I'm not just PlayStation. Please don't think I'm a fanboy of PlayStation. It's just personally, I think they have better experiences. I don't like calling them games. I like calling them experiences because you spend so much time in them and you do so much stuff in them. You're experiencing a whole different world that a whole bunch of people spend a lot of time and hours making happen. So, anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for stopping by. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that share and all that good stuff. And yeah, I will be back with more Let's Talks pretty soon and more live streams. So keep an eye out for them live stream replays on YouTube. And if you want to check them live, come on over to twitch.tv/Werewolf and you can see them there. So until next time, I will see ya next time.